1 in 3 millionaires, people with over $1 million sitting in investment accounts, still wake up at 3 a.m. stressed about money. Let that sink in for a second. $1 million, and they're still anxious. So if more money doesn't automatically buy peace of mind, what actually does? Here's what's wild. The answer isn't another zero on your net worth statement. It's something almost embarrassingly small. And once you understand the psychology behind it, you'll never think about your money the same way again. Meet Kevin. Kevin is 41, lives in Columbus, Ohio, drives a 2019 Honda CR-V, and works as a project manager at a mid-sized logistics company. Kevin is doing pretty well by most measures. He's been maxing out his 401k for the last 6 years. He's got about $280,000 saved for retirement. On paper, Kevin looks solid. But Kevin hasn't slept a full 8 hours in about 3 years. Every time his car makes a weird noise, his stomach drops. Every time his company announces a restructuring, he starts doing math in his head. Kevin is financially responsible by almost every definition, and Kevin is stressed out of his mind. And Kevin, it turns out, is not unusual at all. Vanguard, one of the largest investment companies on the planet, has spent years studying not just how Americans invest, but how Americans feel about their money. And the findings from their research are, honestly, kind of shocking if you've been taught that the path to financial peace is just accumulate more. Here's what they found. Among Vanguard investors with under $250,000 in investable assets, 65% reported significant financial stress. Okay, that tracks. Less money, more worry. But here's where it gets interesting. Jump up to the $500,000 to $1 million range, people who are genuinely wealthy by most American standards, and 50% are still stressed. Half. And then the millionaires, the people who crossed that 7-figure finish line that we've all been told is the goal, 29% of them are still reporting meaningful financial stress. Nearly 1 in 3 people who have achieved what most Americans consider the dream are still lying awake at night. So what is going on here? Why doesn't more wealth turn off the alarm bells in our brain? The answer comes down to something most financial advice completely ignores. And it's not a budgeting strategy or an investment allocation. It's how your brain is actually wired to process safety. See, your nervous system doesn't read your brokerage statement and feel calm. It asks one specific question over and over, almost like a background program running constantly. Can I handle a surprise tomorrow? That's it. That's the only question your stress response actually cares about. Not, will I be comfortable in retirement? Not, is my portfolio diversified correctly? Just, can I survive what I don't see coming? And here's the thing about Kevin's $280,000. It's real money. It's significant money. But in Kevin's mind, and this is key, it doesn't feel available. It's earmarked for 65-year-old Kevin. It lives in a retirement account with penalties for early access. It goes up when the market goes up, and it went down 18% in 2022. And Kevin remembers exactly what that felt like. That money is psychologically far away, even if it's technically his. Now here's the finding that stops people cold when they first hear it. Researchers studying financial well-being found that people who had at least $2,000 set aside specifically as an emergency fund reported financial well-being scores that were roughly comparable to people with $1 million in net worth. Now, before you throw your phone across the room, nobody is saying $2,000 equals $1 million. That's not the argument. The argument is something stranger and more interesting than that. The feeling of security, that baseline sense of, I'm going to be okay if something goes wrong, that feeling can be unlocked at $2,000. Not $200,000, not $2 million, $2,000. Sitting in a labeled savings account that you've mentally earmarked as your safety net. Why? There are 3 reasons, and each one builds on the last. The first reason is something called mental accounting, and this is one of the most well-documented quirks in behavioral economics. Your brain doesn't actually treat all money as equal, even though mathematically a dollar is a dollar no matter where it lives. When money gets a label, it gets a completely different emotional identity. Your 401k is labeled future self. Your home equity is labeled the house. Your brokerage account gets labeled wealth I can't touch without feeling like I failed. But a savings account that you've consciously, deliberately called your emergency fund, that gets labeled one thing and one thing only: safety.
And that label does the actual psychological work. The same $2,000 in a retirement account does almost nothing for your nervous system today. But the moment you move it, name it, and say, this is my emergency fund, your brain treats it completely differently. It answers that question. Can I survive a surprise tomorrow? Suddenly the answer is yes, and your nervous system, even just a little bit, exhales. The second reason is about the difference between liquidity and wealth. And this is the thing that trips up people like Kevin constantly. Investments are wealth. They represent real value, but they don't feel like money you can actually use right now without some cost. Emotional, financial, or both. Think about how it actually plays out in real life. Your car breaks down on a Tuesday. It needs $900 in repairs. You have $280,000 in your 401k. Do you feel fine? Or does your stomach tighten a little? Because touching that 401k means taxes and penalties, and this nagging feeling that you're sabotaging 65-year-old you.
Even a taxable brokerage account feels complicated. You'd have to sell something at whatever price the market happens to be at that exact moment, and that's not always a comfortable feeling either. But $900 sitting in a savings account labeled emergencies, gone in 30 seconds. No anxiety, no math, no guilt. Problem solved. That is what liquidity actually feels like. And it is a completely different emotional experience than wealth. Kevin, by the way, doesn't have an emergency fund. He figured that with $280,000 saved, he was beyond needing one. He'd just figure it out. And then his transmission went out this past March, $1,400, and Kevin felt it. Not because he couldn't technically handle it, but because he spent 2 weeks agonizing over whether to pull from savings, whether to put it on a credit card, whether to ask for a short-term loan from a family member. 2 weeks of low-grade financial panic. Over $1,400 for a guy with nearly $300,000 saved. That is the liquidity gap, and it is real. The third reason is about control. And this might be the most important one of all. A huge amount of what we call financial anxiety isn't actually about money. It's about agency. It's about whether you feel like life is happening to you or whether you feel like you have some control over the outcomes. Research on financial well-being consistently shows that people who feel a sense of agency over their finances, regardless of the dollar amount, report dramatically lower stress levels than people who feel like they're just being dragged along. Among people who feel a strong sense of financial control, roughly 38% report significant stress. Among people who feel out of control financially, that number jumps to 65%, nearly double. Same economic conditions, completely different inner experience. And an emergency fund is one of the most direct, most immediate ways to restore that feeling of control, because it changes the answer to that background question your brain keeps asking. It moves you from, I hope nothing goes wrong, to, I can handle it if something does. That shift from hoping to handling is enormous. It is not an exaggeration to say it changes how you walk through your daily life. Now, I want to make something absolutely clear here, because I don't want anyone walking away with the wrong takeaway. An emergency fund is not a substitute for investing. It is not a wealth building tool. It will not fund your retirement. The $2,000 that brings you emotional peace and the $200,000 that builds your future, those solve completely different problems. And you need both. If you hear this video and think, great, I'll just focus on my emergency fund and skip the investing, that is going to hurt. That is not what the research says. What the research says is about sequencing and psychology. It says that having that small liquid safety net makes you a better, calmer, more consistent investor over time. Because when the market drops 20% and you've got 3 months of expenses sitting in a savings account, you don't panic sell. You stay invested. You let time do its job. People without that buffer are the ones making emotional decisions at exactly the wrong moments, pulling money out at market lows because they suddenly needed cash for a real-life emergency that their emergency fund should have covered. Kevin's story actually has a nice second chapter. After that transmission situation, Kevin sat down and did something he'd been putting off for 2 years. He opened a separate high-yield savings account, named it Emergency Fund, and set up a $400 automatic transfer every month. 6 months later, he had $2,400 in it. And Kevin told me, his words, "I don't know why, but I sleep better now than I did when I had a lot less in savings." He's got more invested now than ever. He's also got his buffer, and the combination of those two things, that's when financial peace actually starts to feel real. So let's talk practically, because I don't want this to just be an interesting psychology lesson that you nod along to and then forget about. If you don't have an emergency fund yet, this is probably the most emotionally high return thing you can do with money right now. Not because $2,000 is going to make you rich, but because the research is clear that going from $0 to even $1,000 or $2,000 in labeled emergency savings
produces a measurable, meaningful improvement in your sense of financial well-being. You are essentially buying yourself a level of peace of mind that most people assume is only available on the other side of decades of investing. And it's achievable in months, not decades. What's the right amount? The old rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses: rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, minimum debt payments. That's your target. But don't let the full number paralyze you. Start with $1,000, get to $2,000, then keep building. Every dollar you add to that fund is directly reducing the low-grade financial hum that so many Americans carry around every day without even realizing it's there. Where should it live? A high-yield savings account, completely separate from your regular checking account. This is important. Out of sight enough that you're not tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies, but accessible enough that you can get to it within a day or two when you actually need it. And label it. In your banking app, name that account Emergency Fund or Safety Net. Because the label, as strange as it sounds, actually matters. It changes how your brain categorizes that money. And that changes how safe you feel. And if you already have a solid emergency fund, the lesson here is about what happens as you build toward retirement. The same psychology that makes a $2,000 emergency fund powerful also explains why people with huge portfolios often struggle to actually spend in retirement.
All that paper wealth still triggers the "can I survive a surprise tomorrow" question. The answer to that, at retirement scale, usually involves keeping a cash cushion. 1 to 2 years of living expenses in something liquid and stable. Not because it's mathematically optimal, but because it quiets the nervous system in a way that lets you actually enjoy what you spent 30 years building. Your brain needs to know that the next 12 months are handled, not just theoretically handled, actually, concretely, money sitting there handled. When that's true, you become a calmer investor, a calmer retiree, a calmer human being about money, and calmer is better. Every time. So here's what I want you to think about and drop in the comments below. Do you currently have a dedicated emergency fund, separate from your other savings? And do you actually feel more secure knowing it's there? I'm curious whether the psychology matches your real lived experience, because I think the answers are going to be fascinating. Let me know what you think down below. And if this video gave you even one useful idea about how your brain works with money, hit that subscribe button. We talk about this stuff every single week, and I'd love to have you here for the next one.